Good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, May 29th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Long.
Yep.
Miller, absent. Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mrs. Crawford, here. Mr. Stotterman,
Here.
5 present. We have quorum.
The first item on the agenda is final plat approval, Eagle Creek Phase 2. And the applicant is seeking approval of the final plat for Phase 2 of Eagle Creek subdivision. We have the applicant. We do not have the applicant.
We do
here.
not have the applicant. I can go over staff report a little
Okay,
bit.
let's do that.
Okay, yep. So they are looking for phase 2 Eagle Creek. I brought in the original phasing plan. The only changes are in name only. It was originally phase 5. They changed it to phase 2. Same number of lots, no changes at all in terms of where lots are located, where the roads are located. Simply just reordering what phasing they're doing here.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? No questions for the, there's no applicant. Any questions for staff? All right, we're looking for a motion to approve. We've got a motion by Mrs. Crawford, second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion and a roll call.
Mrs. Crawford? Yes. Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mr. Stotterman?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Our next item on the agenda is a lot split, Woodland Lake, Wilcox Communities. The applicant is requesting a minor lot split to create 2 new lots from parcel. These lots would be phase 1 and phase 2 of sub area A of the Woodland Lake subdivision. And I see this is at least the exhibit I have is CISO, but aren't you with Kimley Horn, sir?
I am.
All right, come on up to the microphone, explain that. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good. You can introduce yourself, who you're representing and what you're asking.
Tyler Jackson, civil engineer at my Horn, the engineer on the project. 7965 North High Street, Columbus. And we're just asking for a lot split for the parcel. Primarily for financial purposes, for separating construction loan into 2 phases. There's a slight modification from the phase that was presented in the preliminary plan. That is to construct the buildings at front, Foreman's Drive, all in the first phase, so then the landscaping and the frontage can all be completed up front. Happy to answer any other questions. Yeah.
They would be developing the northern portion first, is that right? Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Yeah.
The western and the northern portion would be the first ones.
Okay, thanks. But this is all the portion that is primarily single-story,
It's the range.
multifamily.
That's correct. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. All right. Next we have a staff report. Thank you, sir.
Only major note here was exactly what Tyler just said, is the change in phasing. So these are all still the ranch style homes, but they are splitting it more so they can develop the frontage on Four Winds towards the west side of the property. So as opposed to doing just top north half versus south bottom half, they're doing more of a northwest and then a southeast split and change in development to represent that as well. And this does not, I don't think, none of the 3-story walk-ups are a part of this at all. Yep, those were split off in the previous lot split by this community.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for staff or the applicant? I'll make a motion to approve the lot split.
Second.
We got a second by Mr. Long. Discussion. My only question, remind me, lot splits only come to planning and zoning. They don't go to city council, correct?
Yes, minor lot splits, planning and zoning, major lot splits go both.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford? Yes. Mr. Stotterman?
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, the visitors section. 35 people here, no one wants to speak. All right, next is the approval of the minutes. April 28th, we held a meeting looking for a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Got a motion by Mr. Grumney,
Second.
second by Mrs. Crawford. Any discussion, edits, comments? Roll call.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Soderman,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Next item is the zoning report. Nice job on the zoning report. Mr. Blankenship, would you like to review this with us?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So not too busy. I feel like we've been consistent most of this year in terms of zoning certificates. We've been right around 10 every single month. Again, with Pulte being the only house developer at the moment, I think that's going to remain consistent until someone else gets going. 14 zoning certificates total, 11 of which were new builds, all for Pulte, and then 15 occupancy permits this month as well. Puts us at 52 for the year. Last year we had 75 at this time, but more developers going. So I think we're kind of settling down when it comes to single family. In terms of news of this month, we have hired Katie Oberlin, who is here in the crowd as our intern. She will be here for the summer, as well as another intern, start date TBD, but should be here second week of June as well. So if you see her, welcome her. But aside from that,
Oberlin, welcome.
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 And then we've had some outreach from developers, looking at development more on the west side of the city and then single family. We have been talking, when we talk to developers, we have been mentioning like most of our single family, I mean, Rolling Hills, Price Ponds, all of this is kind of that same bigger lot. So we've been mentioning like, hey, we're kind of looking for alternative, fit more of the beginner house or more of the empty nester style. So we have been hearing more pitches about that. Nothing formal or coming in yet, just mostly preliminary, but we have retained interest in more subdivisions coming in. Just location wise, nothing really available at the time. So, but we are mentioning that we have a lot of these single family 50, 60, 70 foot lots and looking for maybe something a little different. So, but with that, I don't have anything else. Any other questions as far as zoning goes?
Questions for Mr. Blankenship? Well, I don't think you're going to break the majority of the public's heart by telling them that our zoning permits are down.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think so either. It was just, we kept going up and up and up, and now we're just finally plateauing. So, yeah, I don't think so either. And especially since Milton's new builds are single family houses.
Right.
We have a lot of those already. So once we start seeing more fun and exciting things, maybe
Any
they'll go
idea
up.
on the Romanelli Apartments when they're going to open their first space?
I don't know yet. They haven't submitted any documentation for occupancy as of yet. So I think they're still dealing with the county as far as inspections go. But I would expect soon because they are up and they've gotten most of the landscaping in over there too. So maybe next month. We'll see.
Thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Blankenship? All right. Next item is discussion and new business. Mr. Stotterman, any discussion, new business?
Nothing new.
Okay, Mrs. Crawford. Grumney, Mr. Long?
Yes, I have 2 items and me being new, forgive me a little bit as I learn the process here. Just probably 2 questions for the group. One, and we do a lot of approvals on these developments over time. And the question I have is, as they develop, is there a process to go back and validate that things were developed the way that the plan said? So I bring that up mainly because, I live near some of these developments as well, and I'm familiar with Magnolia Park for instance, and running across things where trees are being planted pretty much on top of manholes, settlement of soil to trails that are not being completed, things like that are going on, and that's understandable as you're going through development, but is there a phase in time where that is inspected and assured that things are brought up to what the plan entailed?
I think that's a great question. It can. Staff, do you want to respond
Say,
or do
if you want to jump first, I'll tackle what you don't touch and
I would-
then Daryl up as well.
Yeah, I think we're getting better at this. I think we've got some software that it will help as plans evolve. So when if you think of the evolution of an entire subdivision, housing is probably the easiest one when you think about it. There's just like tonight, like there's lot splits that are already associated with approved zoning exhibits. Most of the time have gone through multiple public hearings, from zoning. They go to the city council, get approved, then lot splits, preliminary plats, they're broken up into different phases, and things do change along the way. I think we've gotten better at recognizing, like to Mr. Blankenship's earlier point, hey, nothing's really changed. The road alignment is the same. He's looking for number of lots, open space. I think we need to make improvements on tree clearing and landscape plans. I think that's an area of improvement for us as the city, in terms of inspection. But then you think of like the ongoing development of a community, especially if it's multi-year and people are living in the community now, that's where we see the most disruption. Is like kids are still walking to school down your street, right? And there's bulldozers and cranes and things like that that are disturbing the soil. I think what you brought up on the planting trees, right on top of a manhole cover, or a trail has already settled, right? Like I've seen that in Price Ponds in particular, where like the soil settled so much that the trail just collapses. Like, how does that happen? That's where I may like lean on staff to help us understand how we can help like the developer address that, because it is a safety concern. Like people are living in a construction zone, right? And ultimately at the end of the project, we own the public infrastructure, storm drains, sewer lines, roads, and in some cases trails and things like that. So I think your question wasn't intended to be purely answered tonight because we still have gaps, but I think it's something that we need to talk about. You want to
I agree with
a stab?
everything you said. I think especially bringing Carl on board, looking at the engineering more helps certainly. We do have Verdanis CT who does construction inspection as it's going on. And then at the end of these developments, we'll do a walkthrough ourselves as well, especially for the public improvements that end up coming to us. We verify that they're right. And if they're not right, we let them know, they fix it. We walk through again to make sure, verify it was fixed. I don't know how much that helps with the trees on top of manholes. But that is something we can certainly look at. And I believe, Daryl, I don't know if I'm wrong, the CT, they will inspect during the process of construction as well, right?
Yeah, they're on site for inspection of public improvements.
Yeah.
And we're working to try to get more inspection services that they did a lot of people. It's still not perfect, as the mayor said.
Yeah. Yes.
Room for improvement. I say we keep this as an action item. I mean, I don't know who else monitors this. I mean, staff, I agree. You're looking at the things that you're being made aware of, whether it's by council members or the public. But I think it's maybe a good idea just to keep this as an open talking point on the agenda where we can say, like, I think it would also help if maybe you gave a demonstration of just how, is it OpenGov? Is that what you use? OpenGov? Maybe shows like the life cycle of how a project and the documentation trail for different projects.
Yeah.
To highlight at least how we're attempting to monitor it.
We can, now that we have, so we have some firm like Wilcox is in OpenGov, and we had Kiwi Clubhouse, the daycare that was approved. They're fully in OpenGov too. So next meeting, I'll put something on the agenda to pull one of those up. You can kind of see the cycle of documents, how engineering reviews work, and how kind of all that process breaks down. So nothing's been fully completed in OpenGov yet,
Right.
but I think we have enough room in there to actually be able to go through and show you guys how it works, what's in there, and how it's keeping us better at tracking, rather than just having 100 files in the computer system. We can actually click into like Woodland Lake and go through the engineering review from the first submittal all the way to the newest one, and go through their plans from the first all the way to the newest one. And even like this meeting, them getting the slot split is just a checkbox, moves us to the next process on that map. So we're still working on it. It's obviously still a work in progress as we work through the wrinkles, but we are using it actively and often. So.
And I think it's like a virtual chain of custody, and it tracks, timestamps, if the engineer has comments and somebody needs to respond, it assigns that to a person. And then ultimately, like there's a timestamp of activity throughout the process. So if we do have major breakdown, like, whoa, this road shouldn't have been there, or like, these trees really weren't supposed to be planted over top of manhole covers or
Mhm.
over top of a sewer line in an easement area, like it just doesn't make sense. We can address that.
And- Yeah, go
I was gonna
ahead.
say, I have a related question to yours. What's the process for a resident, for anybody in the community to notify? Hey, I had I'll use an example in my neighborhood. There's some sidewalk. It's kind of caved in and there's a big mismatch between the sidewalk. Who do you call? I mean, what is the process? Is it call Alex?
Yep, there is a report of concern on our website as well. It's broken down, I think, by zoning, by sewer, or like public utility road. So it's broken down in certain categories that'll lead you to whoever is in charge of that. So it'll be me, Jake, or Dale, or Amber, I think, handle most of them. But it does direct you, whoever you put it in, you can put it anonymously, put an address in, it'll send it directly to us, and we can reach back out to you to confirm what the next steps are, what we're doing. Or if it's anonymous, then we just reach out to whoever would be responsible in that case and follow up with them about what needs to happen. So
It's like street lights and things like that.
Could be anything, right? This is something you noticed for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody else had to notice that, but they haven't. So can I just drop somebody an email and
Yeah.
let them know? It's kind of part of the process to notify somebody that
Yep. If you see
Something
something,
needs to be
feel
done.
free, email any of us directly and we'll get it to the right person, or we'll reach out to the correct person to handle it as well. I get plenty of those emails, so would not
I
be.
don't want to fill anybody's inbox with a bunch of nonsense,
I
but
mean, if there's a bunch, no, but yeah, feel free to send any concern, or if you notice your neighbors or you have the same complaint, feel free to send it over and to say, a lot of us have noticed this, or yeah, it's open communication. We won't know necessarily until you read.
I know from my professional life, I've handled some of the building and maintenance on the facility I have, and there's a period of warranty with new construction where you want to make sure you get things filed prior to that warranty expiring on, a year or 2 years sometimes, to make sure that the original developer or building constructor is responsible, because, if nobody says anything, they're gonna slide right out the door and say, hey, that's not my problem anymore. So it is important that we take advantage of warranties, things like that.
Yeah.
Exactly, agree.
I've had to, like, just from my personal experience, I've had to report broken sidewalks and broken curbs and things like that in my neighborhood. And I'm not saying everybody would know this, but I'm not reporting that to the city. I'm reporting that to Pulte, and then it goes into their kind of workflow management system. And at least somebody emails back like, hey, we understand we're going to put a batch of work together within the next 30 days. I mean, there's been significant soil settling in people's front yards and things like that they're addressing, but it takes a lot of follow-up.
You know how long Pulte's responsible for your neighborhood? I know you live in a newer section.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the individual lots, there's kind of different warranties. There's kind of like an everything warranty. First year, second year, it's, I don't know, craftsmanship type.
That's your property, not the community property. Sidewalks don't belong to you. They belong to the neighborhood.
Correct. We don't assume, the city does not assume ownership of the public infrastructure until it's been accepted, and Mr. Hennessy may speak to that as
That's
well.
exactly what I was gonna say. So there's a public acceptance process. Alex started to outline that. So at the end of whatever the public phase might be, there's an inspection, a walkthrough done by staff and the staff, that city's engineering consultant. This provided to the developer, and then they've got a period of time to fix them. Let's assume that everything goes well and they fix it. Right, then come back to city council accepts the public improvements. Now they're officially a city asset. But when the city accepts them, the developer has to put in a 12-month warranty bond. So there's a 12-month opportunity, if something failed, there would be an opportunity to get it fixed under that bond.
And that happens after,
Public improvements, I should say, not individual home.
and is that phase by phase or towards the very end, the last phase?
Accepted phase by phase.
So like, Pulte did a massive, in Price Ponds, there's a phase one. It was like all of Millstone Drive. It was a cul-de-sac to the south. It was Ping Lane up to like kind of generally where I live. That was all phase one. So there's still houses being built in phase one. It may be really close to being wrapped up at this point. But, so we have not accepted the public infrastructure. So I think Pulte's been in that neighborhood for 3 years. Yeah, doing this continuous maintenance of and Magnolia Park, I think it was only one phase,
Yes.
like total. Correct. So that's going to be at least another couple of years.
So maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit on Magnolia in this case, but
I don't know. I think these specific issues that you're mentioning call out things that staff and we would want to know about. I mean, especially for folks who maybe aren't traveling in some of the newer areas, or like you don't drive through the newer neighborhoods every day. There's a lot of things that pop out that you see,
I
right?
just often take a lot of walks in the area, so
Right.
I see it.
Is there a way that maybe a section could be added to the staff report that includes some of that follow-up and just a checklist so that, we know that, inspections have been done and issues are being dealt with, that sort of thing?
We can, I might reach out more to generally see what we're looking for, what you guys want to see in that. I don't want to
Sure.
bore you with a whole big list of each individual item, but like if we notice something, I can start including items that we noticed within there and then potential resolutions as well, or how it'll be resolved. Let me work with Carla and Alyssa on that and we'll see what we can put together and include it.
Thank you.
And if I could add, I think if you are gonna report an issue, if you could use the report of concern, there's a way for us to track that. And I think at some point we're trying to then assign that to maybe individual properties, almost to see if it's a kind of a recurring problem. Something. And I know our service department is kind of trying to take it to the next level using those reported concerns as a way to kind of create more orders to do the work. So another way of documenting that, we've captured it and it's been completed, so that there's some kind of reporting mechanism. We haven't done a great job of reporting out that it's been completed, so. Not that you have to do it that way, but I generally recommend that way.
Thank you very much for the context. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a second item. I don't know if it's for you or not. This probably goes more around standards around, we'll say more like your landscapes, your fences, so forth, especially with these larger developments. If I think of other communities around Sunbury, it's that consistency as you drive through the town that you see more of that consistent flow. I'm not asking for everything to match, and I'm not asking for a new Albany feel by any means, but is there anything inside of our zoning when we go to approve these plans that has some sort of an architectural landscape guidelines, so to speak? I don't know if they exist, and if they don't, if we should consider that.
I'd say my interpretation in general, from a city perspective, we don't. Now the Sunbury Parkway District Plan is probably the closest semblance to what you're mentioning, where it has some architectural standards and lighting standards and what you want that kind of district to feel like. And it gives some examples of that. And I think you're referencing, potentially like a 4-rail split black fence or something could be, what the standard is. I don't know, all natural materials or some sort of craftsman. New Albany uses the word Georgian architecture. I think ours is Northern Craftsman. In the Sunbury Parkway District Plan is what I mean. But in our zoning code in general, we do not have that I'm aware of. We have more or less like guidelines, and I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit because there's so many different things that you can include in what you want your community to look and feel like and flow like. But branding is a big one, right?
Yes.
Hey, you're in Sunbury, you should know based on like the roadway characteristics, or we have tree lawns or we don't have tree lawns, we have bike trails, we don't, like there
Yes.
should be some semblance. I would agree with you, and I think that should also be a topic that we keep on our radar and talk about. Anybody else?
So maybe if I could add to that, Bill's not what the mayor said, but I can add it. When we did the limited industrial development, zoning text for the east side of Sunbury, one of the things we talk a lot about was we have these planned districts in our existing zoning code. The planned districts allow for a lot of latitude, and I think one of the things we found is that, which, can be a good thing, I'm not suggesting it's bad, but this is the one plan development might look different than the next set of plan development, the next set, you have to have some kind of consistency, the planning element to kind of keep what you want. Otherwise, you kind of lose it from development to development. So the conventional zoning district that we did out there was designed to try to capture all of those. So that they are a standard requirement of every development that exists in that particular zoned area. So as we undertake the zoning, the rezoning, or the update of the zoning code to reflect the district plan, the sorry, our district plan, we made that something we can just try to keep in mind.
Yep.
We will be in front of this board with well, you'll have a role to play in terms of recommending approval of that. So maybe that's another way to capture some more consistency.
That's definitely been discussed in our talks, our preliminary talks as of now as well, since we brought it up with the limited industrial district. I think just thinking of the consistency of the parkway, we've had conversations about what we want it to look like and how we want the characteristics to flow into Sunbury. And it's something we're keeping in mind as we develop the new districts that will go out on the parkway and as we revisit some of the districts that already exist within the city. But yeah, I think we've had a lot of conversations about it, just making a characteristic of Sunbury. So as you said, like, when you're here, when you leave. Not necessarily as intense as Dublin or New Albany, but at least so. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Any other follow on that?
No, I appreciate that. I think that it's needed if it doesn't exist, and it sounds like we have parts and pieces of it. It's a matter of continuing to carry it through. So,
Any other comments, questions, new and unfinished business? All right, next meeting, June 23rd. I actually will not be here for that particular meeting. Anybody else gonna be out that day?
Who's vice chair? Yep. She has not told me she will be on vacation on that date, so we will assume she'll be here.
Call her back.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Next item is, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A second by Mrs. Crawford. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Romney,
Yes.
Mr. Soderman,